Honorable Kenneth, we are absolutely honored to have you here in Dallas. I am Audrey Misoi, I'm with Karisan Media, and this is
Antony Karanja with JapanesePots.com.
And we're going to get straight to it. Our time is extremely limited. But there are rumors going around that you're going to be making a run for presidency in 2012, and I want to come right out and ask if you can substantiate your position on this rumor.
I think I've not made any official declaration, but I've also left no doubt as to what the intention is, and I'm giving it very serious considerations.
Would you want to make the announcement? Would I have the pleasure of making that, making your debut?
I think, as you know, I've come for this trip to consult with Kenyans who live outside, with people here for the first time. So consultation is in high gear. As I've said, I've left no doubt as to what the intention is.
So, Mheshimiwa, right now we are currently experiencing drought in Kenya, and as you know, thousands are affected. Now, we have been hearing reports that there's some parts of the country that are bountiful in terms of harvests and food, and the excess food that is in those parts of the country are not being able to. We are not able to divert those to those locations that are facing this severe shortage of food. I mean, this is not a new situation, and I think they should have been addressed earlier on. So, assuming we have a President Kenneth, if you're intending to run, what would you do to make sure that this situation is alleviated and that we do not have to have people dying when there's food somewhere rotting?
I think we need to know that the population is growing at 1.2 billion extra per year, which means we need to plan for the future, which means that we need to cater for the population, especially in terms of food security. But in terms of the question you just asked in terms of infrastructure, I think the mistake is living in emergency permanently until it's no longer emergency. We've had a Ministry of Special Programs for the last 8 years, whose role has been to mitigate on such issues, which means you keep on allocating more money for emergency purposes rather than creating the foundation. Because the biggest problem with what you just said is infrastructure, that you do not have infrastructure to take the food from where it's in plenty to the drought hit areas. So that's one thing you have to do. The second thing you need to do is to put more money for irrigation and for damming, so that even the worst hit drought areas have water. Look at what happened in Turkana last week. After months of drought, suddenly it rained. We had no collection points. It flooded the whole area. People died out of floods. 1 week they are dying out of famine, the other week they are dying out of floods. It's not acceptable. We need to ensure that every life of every Kenyan is protected and shielded.
Do you have a plan, given that this is what is ailing us right now, especially in the Horn of Africa? Do you at this point have a plan as to how we can have this not an ongoing problem?
I think as Kenyans we know what our problems are. And in the same thinking, I think we know what our solutions are. What we need is to peg timelines to the solution, and then have a government that you can hold accountable. So you told us you'll sort out in 3 years. This is the least we expected you to do. You need to do it.
The other problem that we have, other than drought, is when Kenyans think politics, we think and we vote on tribal lines. Do you have a plan in place, or do you see a future for Kenya where we no longer vote based on our tribal lines?
I think to start with, I've all along stood on a tribal thinking. All along I've stood on a neutral thinking, and I think that the majority of young people who are young people, majority of them really are not thinking on tribal lines anymore. In any case, we know where tribalism has pushed Kenya to. We saw the worst of it in 2008. And if we do not shift from thinking from a tribal point, we could actually run our country out. So I think it is important we realize that we need to evaluate leadership from abilities, from passion, vision so that we know that the leaders we have in positions, they not only pass the integrity test, but are there by virtue of abilities, not by virtue of their tribes. I don't know what any tribe will do for Kenya, but I definitely know what an able person will do for Kenya.
Okay. So currently, as we know it, politics in Kenya is not very clean, and what we've realized is that the electorate is used to firebrand politics, fiery leaders, actually very controversial leaders, and somehow we end up electing the same people that, under normal circumstances, we should not elect. Your politics seems a little bit different, sort of clean, if I may. But how will you be able to convince the electorate that your brand of politics is suitable for them, as opposed to whatever we are having now with the Mike Sombos and the rest?
I think so far my kind of politics has resonated very well with the Kenyan public. I also think with the new constitution, especially on chapter 6, where you have to evaluate any person who is actually aspiring for position of leadership, will have to have compliance issues with the tax money, with the integrity, and in terms of leadership, will have to be assessed and evaluated whether he can hold into that position honestly and truthfully by even organizations like Kenya Anti-Corruption. So as we move in towards implementing the new constitution, we expect leadership that will come out to try and lead Kenya to have complied with a number of issues. And therefore, we should actually be bracing ourselves to new kind of leadership. But there are also other factors. We have been what we have been because for a long time, the rural folks were more than the urban folks. It was 70 to 30. Now urbanization is creeping in. So people are aware. IT has come in. People are able to exchange messages. We now have Kenyans living outside, like the states will be able to vote. People who've seen best practices, people who will be wishing for good leadership, they'll be able to export those qualities to their relatives back at home. So I see a situation whereby we have the best opportunity to break from the past in the next election.
So, but do you see? Because right now we have leaders who already are trying to, call you some names because of what you've been able to do. Case in point here, we had the MP for Juja who has been labeling you as Mzungu for you being on time with your CDF projects, doing actually what you're supposed to do for the constituents of Gatanga. So do you see a point where you will have a whole lot of resistance to your kind of message going to the grassroots, with the kind of leaders that, are having to oppose what you're doing?
I don't want to give credibility to comments that will not grow our country or move our country forward. I consider them a waste of time. But remember, it's not the first time I've run for a political contest and the same issues have cropped up. In the last election, I've had one of the highest majorities in Kenya. I had 58,000 compared to 6,000 for my number two. A majority of 52,000, which I think was the top 2 or 3 in the whole country, and probably top 1 in Central Province. Which to me is a proof that people are looking at abilities, not at trivialities. And that's why I want to